management of offering, church properties, and others. Actually, today is not the first time we have discussion and lecture on this topic. In term 1, already we have some lesson on the offering. How a church manages resources, especially money, affect its witness to the world. Do you agree? So if you are one of the people, one of the persons in the team to manage church money, you are like a gatekeeper. Keep the integrity of the church. And at the same time, you remember all our decisions affect how these people in the world see us. To see that whether we are really servant of God or not. Good financial practices. I just give you a list. As before I said that already in first term, we have covered something about church offering. Good financial practice, because all this show our accountability to God, our trust in the law, ethical leadership, also transparency. We are ready to answer people's questions. And at the same time, it shows our integrity, building trust among brothers and sisters, and also even to the community. At the same time, the Lord said that we should remember the poor. So good practice of finance help us to do it in justice and compassionate way. And it's also help the church, God's family, to be stable, financially. And at the same time, we have the capacity to look for the future, to plan for the future. Also, there is also government requirement that the church also need to comply, and also free some resources. Instead of fixing problem because of the bad financial practice, we have the ministry reserve resources for ministry really produce fruit. So these are the reason or the fruit of good financial practices. I think I don't need to go through everything because we have covered some in the first term. And the challenges in Africa, I don't know whether you agree. I study and I find that there are some challenges in Africa, especially in this setting. People expect more. Like members, they expect more detailed financial report. They also they want to understand more about how the church manages the money. Do you see this situation? Is it real? Another thing that people they consider in recent African churches, because the churches manage more operation than in the past, and then it becomes more increase in the workload of financial management. At the same time, it requires more skills and knowledge in managing money and like resources. Otherwise, it may create fraud and mismanagement. And at the same time, there are people also find that because of some scandals, misconduct in some denominations, it shakes the faith of some Christian towards the leadership of the church. That's why we should keep integrity and good financial practices. So these are some of the challenges people find in African church. Do you agree with this? Is it the situation that you are facing or we are facing together? It doesn't mean that your church has misconduct or scandal, but maybe in some denominations, sometimes some news, they said, some church leader corruption, and then they put a lot of money, offering money into their own bank account, and then people, they lose trust of the church leadership. That's why in some government, they have more stricter control on the church management. These are considered to be some of the challenges in the modern churches in Africa. I think to some extent, all of us, you have some understanding and you read news or even from the people around you, they are facing this situation. Is it true? The first thing to solve all these problems, the first thing that we should have good financial practices, we go back to the Bible. Let's see what does God say about managing God's money. The first concept is about stewardship. So what does it mean? 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 2. Faithful If you say, what is the requirement? If you go apply for a job, there is job requirements, right? So what is the requirement by God on steward? They say faithful, to be faithful. So what does it mean faithful? Now, I'm going to spend some time explaining what faithful is. But here, faithful in some translation is translated to be trustworthy. A faithful person is a person people feel comfortable to put their trust on. Do you agree? If you are a faithful person, people trust you. Not just about the money. They trust your character. They feel more comfortable to open up their hearts to you, to talk to you, to let you understand their situation. So one of the characteristics of faithfulness is about trustworthiness. Second, no, in another translation, this word is translated like this. What is required for a steward? Those who have been given a trust must prove faithful. So what does faithful mean? It is the responsibility of the steward to prove to others that he is faithful. A steward is the one through their behavior, through their decision, even their word, to prove their character to others. So it's not their responsibility to see whether you are faithful or not, but it is our responsibility. We say that we are servants of God. Our responsibilities to show them that we are trustworthy, that we are faithful. So as a steward, we should guard ourselves. We should keep ourselves, our behavior, attitude, word, decision, everything, even our families. Now, for example, according to the Bible, elders and deacons, some of the qualification or the requirements for them is to be faithful. It means their character is proved by their daily lives. For what God requires in stewards is faithfulness. Luke chapter 16, verse 10 to 12. Jesus Christ explained to us what a faithful man he expects. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. He who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. Now, first of all, the concept is a bit special compared to the people in this world. Jesus said, now, first, if you are faithful in small things, then you will be faithful in big things. If you're unjust in small things, you will also be unjust in big things. Now, this is the first concept. And then 11, he said, therefore, if you have been faithful in the righteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? So first of all, okay, mammon. What is mammon? Money. So Jesus said money is unrighteous. What? Money is not good? Yes. Money, basically, according to the Bible, is neutral. But it's also said that the love of money is the root of all evil. So money, to some extent, can be a temptation to many people in this world, even to the servant of God. Therefore, if you have been faithful in that righteous money, it means you are careful. Yes, I say that again, money is neutral, but the love of money is the root of all evil. They are talking about all of us. As a born-again Christian, if you are not careful about money, you will easily fall in temptation by the devil. If you are faithful in the even unrighteous, God consider no, because in eternity, we don't need the money in this world. But if you can manage it carefully, it shows your character. If you remember in the beginning, I said, what is faithful? To prove themselves to be faithful. So according to the Bible, this is one of the way that we prove that you are faithful in handling money. Who will commit your trust, the true riches? So according to what Jesus said, money in this world is not the true riches. Because all the money, all the riches in this world will pass away. The true riches is something lasts forever. So the main point is, Are we rich in the true riches which lasts forever?
Yes.
So what are the true riches then? I say again, if the money in this world is not the true riches, so what are the true riches now? What truly lasts forever? What you can bring to eternity? What you can bring when Jesus comes to receive you? What you can bring with you? Can you bring something with you when Jesus comes to receive you in the cloud? When Jesus comes to receive you, to meet you in the cloud, can you bring something to go with you to meet Jesus Christ? No, nothing in this world, nothing. No matter how much you earn in this world, can you bring 10 million and go with you so that your life in the heaven may be a bit better? Can you bring your car? Can you bring your house? Even your body, you cannot bring, right?
Yes.
Because we will have resurrected body to meet Jesus Christ in the cloud. So what lasts forever to all of us, we Christian? People may say, hey, your spirit. Of course, yes, it's your spirit. But when you say your spirit, it also means now your personality, your character, the gifts given by God in this world, what the maturity that after experiencing all things, the maturity that you gain. All these you can bring into eternity. Do you agree? What are the true riches? What are the you are if God wants it, you are rich. It means you are rich in faith. You are rich, it means you are like Jesus Christ. After all these 10, 20, 30, 40 years, your life journey on earth. Yeah, I'm very happy that the Father said, I'm very happy that now you truly like my only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, in faith, hope, and love. What are the true riches? It's actually yourself. Don't let the riches in this world ruin your true riches. You will regret. There are many corrupted, born-again Christians. For sure, one day when they see Jesus Christ, before the stage of Christ, for sure, they will regret. Don't let the unrighteous mammon corrupt your life, corrupt your beautiful eternity. Verse 12. And if you have not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? It's a bit interesting. What does it mean? What? You mean what we are handling does not belong to us? Belongs to another man? Now, this is a concept of steward. What is a steward? Steward is like a manager. Steward is not the owner of the property entrusted to him, right? If I say, oh, okay, I'm a bank manager, I'm a banker. Oh, good, wow, banker. Yes, so you are very rich, right? No, I'm a banker. Yes, daily I handle the 100 billions of dollar of the shilling. But I understand very well, it's not my money. It's the money of my clients. It's the money of the clients of the bank. I'm a manager. I manage all the fund to make sure the fund become fruitful. But I understand at the same time, it's not my money. I cannot use the money to buy my house, to buy my car, and buy my vacation, right? So if you are faithful in what is another man's, then one day the Lord will give to you what truly belongs to you. So do you understand what Jesus said? He is teaching us the quality to be a steward. What is the meaning of faithfulness? All the things in this world cannot last forever. Put your eyes on the true riches. And one of the true riches that you can handle is yourself. Your personality, character, maturity to be like Christ. This is the purpose of this journey on earth. And at the same time, remember that no matter people consider you how successful you are, banker handling billions of money, billions of shilling every day, but all this doesn't belong to you. At the same time, you don't belong to this world. One day, the Lord will entrust to you what truly belongs to you. But now, what expected to you is about faithfulness. A steward does not own what he manages. His role is to protect, is to use it according to the owner's purpose. Is to plan and budget wisely. Use it with wisdom. At the same time, make responsible and careful decisions. Not the fruit of what they manage and account for them regularly. It means, yes, it is my responsibility to answer your question because you entrust this to me, and delegate to those who are faithful so that they can work together with you. As a servant of God, as a steward in God's family, the same. It's entrusted to us. It's more than just about money. It's actually God's family. And we should use God's resources wisely. Make responsible decisions, wise decisions. Budget and use everything and so that they bear fruit. And we also delegate. Delegate means build up people so that they can together serve God. Just like yesterday, if you remember, I said that Paul told Timothy, no, you teach those and trust to those who will be able to teach others. Delegation. So what expect to a steward? A steward need to perform all these duties. It means you and I. Paul, chapter 21, verse 5. The main point, the key words of this verse is about plan. Of course, it is only for those people who are diligent. Diligent is more than hardworking. It also means faithfulness. You are willing to do it with your heart. For those who are willing to serve God, do it with your heart. One thing God wants to remind you, hey, you are already diligent. You are already faithful. But one more thing you need to pay attention to. Learn to plan. The plans of the diligent is surely to plenty. Plenty means fruitful, whether in God's plan or in anything. So if yes, I want to be faithful, and I try my best to learn to be faithful. One more thing you need to learn to plan. Don't do things just out of, suddenly you want to do something, spontaneous, anything that come out of your mind, then you just do it. No, as a steward, you need to learn to plan. Luke chapter 14, verse 28 to 30. This one is a shameful builder. This steward, if he is a steward, if he is building a tower for his owner or for his master, this one is not a good steward because he started the project and he could not finish it. But he can avoid, because in the beginning, if he sit down first and count the cost, maybe he modified the plan. Or maybe he's just, how about we do it 2 years later so that we can have more fun. This is about plans. All stewards, even you're diligent, faithful, you need to learn to plan. Otherwise, we bring shame to our master. These passages directly addresses the necessity of plan and budget before projects begins. At the same time, the importance of accurate cost estimation. If you remember in the passage we just read, Jesus said, the main point is he has not enough to finish it. That he can avoid actually from the beginning. These passages also tell us the consequences of incomplete project due to poor planning. And at the same time, the practical connection between wisdom and financial success. Yes, if you have wisdom from the Lord will guide you to bless the work of your hand. Romans, owe no one anything. Now, this one, we take it carefully. Owe no one anything. Does it mean that can I borrow money from others? You understand what I mean? If God said that, owe no one anything, can I borrow money from others? Yes. Why? Why yes? Already you say own. Do you understand what own no one anything? Own no one, even anything, not to mention money, anything. Own no one anything. So as a Christian, can I borrow money from others? Actually, in the first term, already we have discussed the problem about the situation about borrowing money, whether it is allowed or not according to the study, according to the teaching in the Bible. So yes, I understand that in today's world, in this situation, in Kenya, in Africa, it is quite impossible not to borrow money from others, especially in the difficult situation, right? So actually from the teachings of Jesus Christ, he also allowed us, or to some extent, he taught us how to handle this situation. As he mentioned that, if you have, until you pay the last penny, you can never get out of it. Of course, get out of the burden, about the debt, about even the conflict and the argument. And he told those who are willing to borrow money to others, to lend your money to others, he said, you prepare in case he cannot return to you. I think in the first term, already I have explained it to you about in Christian living. And so why here he said, own no one anything? Of course, it is not good to own anyone, but without any plan to repay it. So he said, own anything, except to love one another. For another has fulfilled the law. Own no one anything except love. It means this is actually teaching us, consider yourself, you own him love. You need to take care of him. But at the same time, if I borrow money from her, if I don't return the money or hesitate or postpone, always get the responsibility, it means I don't love her. He said, except love one another. It's more than about money or not, or what you borrow from her, whether it is a book, a cow, or whatever. It's actually talking about your trustworthiness and whether in your heart, do you love this born-again brother or sisters? So to us, at least the bottom line is, if you borrow anything from anyone, can you really fulfill your promise to repay him? Do you really take it seriously? Take it as a promise to repay your brother or your sister. So really, it's talking about, yes, we should avoid that, but clear repayment plan should be necessary when you are in a loan. Operating within means is also about our daily life and the church ministry. So to some extent, if we need to borrow money so that we can do our ministry, whether it is building a hall or some outreach or whatever, I will say that we should take it carefully, very carefully, because you are putting the whole church, for example, if you borrow money from the bank or people, you're putting the whole church in an obligation that if we cannot fulfill the repayment plan, then we violate. We cannot fulfill what they say, own no one anything. It serves to meet the needs. If possible, that's in the past. I also share with you. According to the Bible, God taught us about saving. He said, even learn from the insect, the ants, and the small animal, and teach our brothers and sisters financial discipline. This is what the Lord actually telling all of us, steward, you should do. This is the way to manage money as a servant of God. Operating within means, especially to mention this point, within means, spending within means, operating within means. What does it mean? It means I responsibly track the expenses and I distinguish what is essential and non-essential spending. I think to many brothers and sisters, you need to teach them in this way. In this world, the world is teaching all of us in a different way. You can use your future money. Now, whether it is a loan or in some countries, they're very common in using credit card, using the credit. It easily make people not or no longer living within means. It means actually putting yourself in a situation out of your own control one day. Integrity in finance, what does it mean? It means, especially as a steward of church money, keeping accurate record, honest reporting, transparency in all transactions, accountability to leadership and also to brothers and sisters, and regular check whether the spending like this is okay, whether it is within means. There are quite a lot of passages to be about being a good steward. I just want to mention a few to all of us. Be faithful, control and track the expenses, especially about money. When we talk about steward, very often we're talking about money. And be faithful in the small things. Even you cannot say, okay, if it is church money, you cannot say that, it doesn't matter, Peter. It's talking about just 100 shillings. It's not a big deal. It's okay. Or talking about 50, 10 shillings. It's okay, Peter. But God said, if you are faithful in small things, then you are faithful in big things. To God, whether it's 10 or 10,000, the main point is not about the amount. It's about your attitude. Do you agree? The main point is about your faith, your attitude, your behavior. People may ignore this. Hey, talking about 10, 50, 100, it doesn't matter. It's okay. But to God, no, it's not like this. Fund management. The use of church fund is under strict guidance according to the teachings and examples in the Bible. This is what every steward should bear in mind. The collection and the using of church fund, we should strictly refer to the teachings in the Bible because you are a steward. It is not your own money. It is church money. It is God's money. Offering. Now, I just briefly mentioned because I mentioned before, in the past already we covered some teachings on offering. Offering is collected anonymously. It means it's not named. Let's brothers and sisters give cheerfully without compulsion. Clear bookkeeping of income and expenses is a must. Complete record of properties and assets. That if this building belongs to the church, there should be filing and complete record of the title of this building and all the documents. Teams, not just one person, team, making the church fund principles. So using the church fund is always not a one-man decision. Regular report. This is keeping the accountability to all brothers and sisters. Because money are from them, they contribute to God, not to you. So regular financial report to everybody, help everybody to commit to God. And compliance to government regulation. This depends on our countries. Some countries, they require every year, they have annual general meeting. Everybody has to present. And then you have to announce the financial report for the whole year. And everybody agree, then you can pass the report to the government. It depends on the government regulation. It depends on your country. So these are the very basic things. What a good steward should behave in this world, in our generation. Today, I just want to mention two principles. The first one, by using church money, it should be, and it has to be, for gospel purpose. First one, for gospel purpose, preaching. Second, the church money has to be used for the church. So two basic directions, two basic principles in using church money. They are like the boundary that we cannot cross. First one, for gospel preaching. Second, for God's family. It cannot be used in paying individuals for shepherding and church leadership because it is not the church example and teachings. I understand that in Africa and also in other countries, in the country where I come from, they have this practice. Out of the church money, the pastor or the leader, they take their salary from it, or even they use it for their own purpose. But it is not the example in the Bible. I don't think that you can find an example in the New Testament, whether it's from Paul, Peter, John, or whatever, that you can see that, yes, maybe he used the church money for his own purpose, for his own benefit. No. Paul mentioned again and again, he received the support from brothers and sisters, from the churches in Macedonia, from the churches that support him in the mission trips. But he never said that. For example, he also mentioned that he handled church money. If you remember, the church of Corinth and Macedonia, they have contribution through the hand of Paul and his team to bring the money to Jerusalem because they are facing famine, if you remember the passages. Can Paul say that I can use some of the money, what they offer to Jerusalem? Maybe even in my journey, I need to eat, right? But he didn't mention anything like this. But at the same time, on the other hand, he said that the other churches support him in the journey. So the money contribute for a specific purpose. Even he is the servant of God. He didn't touch it. From this, even the angel, God can proud of him, is proud of him. Even the angel can see that he is faithful. Another principle is pay according to the bills. What does it mean? I'll give you an example. If church send me to another country and he paid for all the transportation, and then, okay, I take bus, I take ferry, and I take different vehicles, and then finally arrive at the destination. What I should receive from the church should be the money exactly I pay all the fare. I think up to this, there's no problem, right? If all the total is 3,500, and because the church give me 5,000 in the beginning, because everybody, we don't exactly know how much do I need to spend, and I have no money to pay first so that they can reimburse me. So the church give me 5,000, but when I arrive, I find that I use only 3,500. So it means the 1,500 left is my service charge. It's the tips. Is it okay? Now, hope that you don't mind. I'm not saying in a mean way or accuse anyone. If I report to the church, honestly, yes, at the end, I only use 3,500. I have still 1,500 left. If the church agree, yes, maybe on the way, it is also for you to buy something to eat. Or, okay, how about you don't make the journey so long and consuming and tiring to you. It's exhausting. Maybe you stay one night in the middle. With the agreement, with the consent, I can do it like this. You understand what I mean? The main point is whether I honestly report and gain the consent from those who is responsible for the money used. That's why I don't know whether you still remember. For the slide I show you, I mentioned a few times accountability. Do you understand what accountability means? It means as a servant, I'm willing to be open to tell you the truth and let you decide. Because as a servant means I'm waiting to be sent. If I'm the boss, I don't need your approval. I'm the boss of the business. Who is going to approve me? I'm going to approve others. But no matter how successful businessman or what job you are doing, but as a servant of God, I'm willing to be humble to be under your approval. May you be good steward. Blameless before the angels, before God, and before anyone. In case anyone challenge you, may God speak for you because you are blameless. So that's the principle. Pay according to the bills. Sometimes according to the bills doesn't mean that you have the paperwork, you have the bills. Because for example, if you go to transportation, sometimes you don't have the bill, right? Even you go to the market to buy something, they never issue a bill to you. But honestly, you know actually what it costs. And you report honestly actually exactly what it costs. And then you are proved to be blameless. Now I say again, though I'm not mean, even I myself, I do it in this way. If I'm in trust of the God's money, of church money, every cent I put in record. Because I understand very well, I'm a steward. To this amount of money, I'm a steward. For my pocket money, it's mine. I can use it on the way that I consider appropriate or what I consider, what God let me understand that it is okay. But for money entrusted to me, if it is church money, I take it very seriously because I want to be blameless before everyone. And as a church, at least try your best to fill all the bills received and record. It is also the way to prove that we are faithful. If you remember the first line, the first words that we read together, what expect to be a steward is faithfulness. Faithfulness means when you entrust something, you prove yourself to be faithful. So all the bills received and all these documents is your proof. And sometimes about prepayment and reimbursement. What does it mean? Just like the situation I mentioned. If I'm sent by the church to somewhere, I am paid first. It is prepayment. So I need the money given to me already, then I need to keep it and report the actual expenses. Sometimes reimbursement, it means I'm okay, don't worry, I can pay for my transportation. When I return, I will let you know how much I have spent, and then you reimburse me, pay me back. In some countries, or maybe here, usually we are okay to use the way prepay them so that they can return the money, the balance afterward, and the record afterward. And budget and actual expenses. For example, in organize a conference, every event, we have a budget. The budget is based on our experience. For example, let's say in August, we have a conference. We host about 60 people for the meal, accommodation, transportation from these areas. We estimate how much shall we do if I organize again a conference in November. This is the way that we prepare a budget. I do believe that all of us, we have some experience of preparing budget. But budget and actual expenses, usually there is a gap. Maybe sometimes we overestimate, so the actual expenses is lower than the budget. But sometimes we underestimate, so the actual expenses is higher than the budget. Whether budget or actual expenses, we need to track the expenses. Because as a faithful servant, it means I use every cent responsibly. And if the budget is in the beginning is overestimate, the actual expenses is lower. So, wow, we still have 500,000 left. So, who's this 500,000 belong to? What do you think? Now, I say again, if, for example, if we organize a conference, now together we organize a conference, and then the budget, okay, a certain amount of budget, and after the conference, we spend it well, we still have 500,000 left. So, this 500,000 belongs to whom? The church. So we should return the 500,000, right? One day, maybe already you are the leader. If you delegate someone to do something, if he hide this 500,000, what do you feel? If you entrust someone, for example, if you entrust me to host a conference and you give me the budget, maybe it's talking about 100,000. And then afterward, after the conference, I find it, well, I still have 500,000 left. So what do you expect me to do? To return, right? If you find that I didn't return all 500,000 to you, what do you feel? This is faithfulness. I think all of us, we have the answer. And one day, if I were the one who keep the balance, for sure one day God will expose it. And I have no way to escape. Integrity is very important. If you remember in the Acts of the Apostle, do you remember a man and his wife? They sold their land and then they told their disciples, this is exactly what we have. And then we offer all to the church. But they lied, actually. Do you remember what Peter said to them? Before you sell it, it is yours. After you sold it, it's also your money. So it depends on you how much you offer. Why do you lie to God? The main point is they were lying to God. That's why they died at the moment, at that place. Both the husband and afterward, the husband and wife. And sometimes we need to strike the balance. Ministry and expansion with faith. Well, we have faith. We go bigger, do bigger things, dream big, do big. Then compare with spending within means. Sometimes God let us have constraint in our resources, in our ministry. It's actually leading us to do things step by step. Do you agree? Of course, God wants to do something big. He wants us to save the whole world. But also it depends whether we are capable, whether we have the energy, whether we are grown, mature enough to handle this. So sometimes the constraint in our lives is actually leading us to do it step by step, gradually. Don't run ahead of God, ahead of God's plan. I say again, last week, you remember? I said, wait on the Lord. Sometimes it's man's ambition running too fast rather than waiting on the Lord. I'm not saying that we should not dream big. We actually, in our business meeting, in the church co-worker meeting, very often we discuss something that's really big. The annual budget is quite a big amount of money. But at the same time, I understand we need to strike a balance. We need to wait and spend and work within means. If it is God's will, for sure, He will expand our territories and give us more and more. His grace is always sufficient. And what about segregation of duties? In handling church money, of course, we need to understand the situation. For example, that we can have more, we say more. For example, if I'm going to assign a brother to do something, I also need to consider his family situation, his financial situation. How can I expect he can use his money to do it first and then I reimburse him? Do you understand what I mean? So to be a steward, you need to make some decision which makes sense. And another thing, the last thing that is segregation of duties. What does it mean? Segregation of duties. It means this is a way to handle money, especially money and assets, wisely, so that we can be blameless. Generally, the primary duties of handling church funds and resources that need to be segregated is for approval, custody, recording, and reconciliation or checking. So what does it mean? The one who hold the money shouldn't be the one to make the approval to use the money. If I'm the one who keep the money, and I'm also the only one who can approve whether the money should be spent in this way or not, then it easily becomes my temptation that I can use the money without asking any advice or without understanding the real needs or the situation. So they suggest The people, people in this way, in doing business, they're doing this way. The one who make the approval shouldn't be the same one who keep the money, and shouldn't be the same one who do the recording. Because if he's dishonest, if he's the one who keep the money and keep the record, if he's dishonest, then he can change the record. And at the same time, the one who do the final check should be another one. Usually, even in the church, though we trust brothers and sisters, but at the same time, we also want to set up a healthy system. The one who gives the approval, the one who has the authority to say yes or no to buy this or not buying this, he shouldn't be the one who keep the money. And there should be another one keeping the record. And we can assign another one to do the final check, whether everything is okay. So before everybody, you can see no one is tempted and no one will easily use it for his own interest. This is the blameless way. Another thing, in using the church money, we also emphasize about record. I give you this table. It's an example. This is a simple in and out record of money. So December 2025, right? 1,150. So together. And for example, if the church also allow people to donate by M-Pesa, in the beginning of this month, we have 9,100 in M-Pesa account. And then on 8th of December, we receive of 1,500. So we make the balance of the M-Pesa to be 10,600. So this is a record. The one who keep the account shouldn't be the one who do the record, if possible. But M-Pesa is still okay, because M-Pesa you have all the record actually automatically. The one who keep the cash should not be the one who do the recording. Otherwise, if someone give him, okay, well, maybe opening the offering box is fine, 2,500 in it. If I'm not honest, maybe I skip it. And also, for example, you buy the light bulb, paying the electricity bill, buy the grape juice for the birthday meeting. So these are the expenses. Some expenses in cash, some expenses through M-Pesa. And we have the total balance of the church. By the end, by 15th of this month, 12,900. So this is a basic recording, the record of the church finance. I put it in this way. This is a simple way. But here, if you can understand the pattern, then you can see clearly, easily how much is this? How much does the church have? And the expenses. What are the expenses? It means we make a paper record of the purchase of the light bulb. This is an offering record. Usually the practice is we pay up brothers and sisters. Maybe in the church, we assign 2. They pay up to open the offering box. I don't know whether you have noticed it. We have an offering box at the end of this room. So brothers and sisters can put in offering anonymously without putting the name and not out of compulsion. They go free to put the offering in the box. And regularly, we assign people to open the box. And after opening the offering box, they put in record. So open the offering box, they find 2,300 in it, and then they sign signature. 2 persons together. They sign, this is the record for offering. And this record of 2,500 will be put in. This is the way that we do in handling church money offering. And the same for those who accept M-Pesa donation. Now, another record that the one who hold the phone to receive donation, he together with another brother or sisters, they put it in record, and then they put it in the in and out form of the M-Pesa in and out. This is the purchase voucher I just mentioned. For example, I go to buy light bulb and then they don't issue receipt. And this that we create a paper record. At least 500 is used in buying light bulb by Peter. I go there to buy and then I sign, I use 500. So the church reimburse me 500. I buy the light bulb. Or the church prepay me 500 so that I go to buy the light bulb. And then I return the receipt. This one, the voucher to the church record. Briefly, I want to explain to you the principle of using church money. I mentioned 2 points, 2 directions. The first thing is for gospel. Second, for God's family. It's never for individual, the church money. And also I mentioned the record, the system of handling the records, the in and out record. After opening the offering box, what record we should keep. In the Bible, there are quite a lot of passages regarding giving. Luke chapter 21 is about the 2 little coins of the poor widow. Jesus prays that she, out of her poverty, giving all the livelihood than anyone else. They give in more than anyone else. Matthew chapter 6, verse 1 to 3. When you offer, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Is it possible? Actually, both your right hand and the left hand is controlled by one brain. Do you think that you can do something that your left hand do something, don't let your right hand know it? It is impossible, right? But Jesus said in this way, giving, when you give to God, do it in a way such that, just like when your left hand do it, your right hand doesn't know. Then, if it is like this, not to mention the others, it means doing in a way that you don't need to let anyone know. But God in heaven, He will know. Acts chapter 20, verse 33, Jesus said, it's more blessed to give than to receive. I think all of us agree. But at the same time, in Africa, there are a lot of teaching say that it is more blessed to receive than to give. It doesn't mean that they don't want to give. To the opposite, they say that if you want to receive, you should give. They exchange the order. Did you understand what I mean? They're talking about prosperity. But according to what Jesus said, the exact wording of Jesus is, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Malachi, God encourages that we should remember Him first. Give to His house. And now this is the house of God. Give to His house. It is like a test. You test me. You test God whether He's generous. If you are generous to God, you will find that God is more generous. It's more than you can imagine. He's generous to you and your life. First Chronicles chapter 29. At that time, David gathered the resources for building temple of God. Though God told him, it's not you, but your son will build the temple for God, for him. But David collected all the treasures and resources for the building of the temple. And to the point, he was so touched that he said, who am I? Who are these people that you make them become so rich and so generous, so passionate towards God's will? They offer so much, to offer so willingly as this. I think at that time, David, he faced, truly there are a lot of churches willingly donated by many Israelites all over the country for the will of God, for the building of the temple of God. And he made one point. This is worthy for all of us to teach our brothers and sisters. All things actually come from you. And of your own. All this I have is actually yours. But of your own, I have given you. This is actually teaching us the attitude of a steward. All things come from you. And of your own, we have given you. We give you, actually, it is actually yours. But you put it in my hand. He give it to us to enjoy. But I know that, I know very well, you are the owner. You are the owner of all I have. Not to mention our property, our things. Even I myself belong to you. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7. Paul reminded every one of us, let everyone give as he purposed in his heart, not complaining or not out of necessities, but God loves a cheerful giver. Not out of compulsion, not out of because the peer pressure or the community pressure or whatever. Be a cheerful giver. Hope, chapter 23, God said, give me your heart. And then Matthew chapter 6, verse 21. It is like an answer to the Proverbs in chapter 23. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Usually people, they in their way of understanding, this is where your heart is, you put your treasure there. Is it right?
Yeah.
If your heart is in your family, if your heart is in your house, so you put your treasure in your house, you consider it's worthy to buy good things to the people in your house, or you decorate your house, even you use your hard-earned money. You consider it's worthy to make your house more comfortable, beautiful, or even move to a bigger house. So where your heart is, you put your treasure there. This is usually what people do in this world, right?
Yeah.
But God said that to the opposite. Where your treasure is, your heart will be also. What does it mean? It means if you really want to give your heart to God, you first give your treasure to God, then your heart will follow. This is the way to manage your own heart. Otherwise, you are following the way of the world. In this world, people, where their heart love, actually where their heart love is usually driven by the world. So the treasure will also follow the world. But God said, no, don't do this. Give me your heart, my son. How can I give God my heart? Learn to manage your treasure. Give God your treasure. Then slowly your heart will come closer and closer to God. This is the way, the attitude of handling our treasure, our money. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. If this body is willing to give to God as a sacrifice, you hold your money, you hold your treasure. Does it make sense? If you say, yes, I love God, even that I'm willing to give myself as a living sacrifice, so you should have no hindrance of giving your treasure to God. 2 Corinthians chapter 8, but they first gave themselves to the Lord, then to us by the will of God. At that time, Paul praised them, the brothers and sisters in the poor churches. They praise them. They first give themselves to God, and then they put their trust, they give themselves to Paul and the brothers and sisters. Then they give, actually, you see that even they're poor. The churches in Macedonia and the churches which are poor, they are willing to more than they can afford to support the brothers and sisters in famine in Jerusalem. He said this to the brothers and sisters in Corinth. You are rich, but you better learn from the poor brothers and sisters. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 15. I will very gladly spend and be spent for your soul. This is the attitude of a servant of God. Not to mention about his money. He is willing himself, his age, his time, his life, his money be spent for you all. And not to mention about money. Galatians chapter 2, verse 10. They desire only that we should remember the poor, the very things which I also eager to do. And Paul said, from the law, we know that we should remember the poor. The church, we should remember the needy, the poor. So quickly, I go through all these verses. There are lots of teachings about giving. Giving is actually the way to make you rich. In this world, they consider earning, collecting, receiving is the way to make you rich. But according to the Bible, it is actually the opposite. Giving is the way to make you rich. True riches in eternity. It's about giving. Giving is actually giving to God what already belongs to Him. Giving, give first to God our heart and also ourselves. Not under any compulsion. So we need, as a servant of God, you need to make the collection of offering that no one feel compulsion. It is not good. It is not, at least not wise to collect offering, passing the plate, everybody put in there, pass the plate. It may cause compulsion to some brothers and sisters. I think some, maybe even yourself, some brothers and sisters, they feel embarrassed if everybody put in something and he has nothing to put inside, but the plate passed to him or the bag passed to him. It just makes this arrangement. I'm not saying that it is sin, but personally, I think that it is not a wise arrangement. This arrangement, actually, you may make someone to become hypocrite, pretend to put something there, and then pass to someone. Is it good? Is it what you want to do? What you want your brother and sister to do in this way? Is it the way that God appreciates? Because of this is what the Bible says, not out of compulsion, but be a cheerful giver. I say again, some practice, not just in Africa, even in the Western world, some practice is not wise because they are away from the teaching in the Bible. So when in the beginning, why do they use this way of passing plates or the bag to collect the money, or even before the collection of the offering? Everybody stand up and then we sing a song, we give thanks to God, and then this is offering time, and then line up and then put the box here, and then everybody take turn to put the money here. Maybe in the beginning, I'm not accusing anyone, but maybe in the beginning, even the leaders, they are born again leaders, they are good, they are the servant of God, but they also face the financial stress. We have no money to pay the rent. We have no money to pay the bill, electricity. So you need to find some way to make sure the church can operate, right? Maybe out of this stress, they think of this way to solve the problem. But sometimes the problem is we people find our way to solve our problem rather than waiting on the Lord. Rather than let God solve the problem for us. If God really wants to solve the problem, He got many ways. What I want to say is, remember the principles. Already He said the principle, cheerful giver, not out of compulsion. Now I'm not saying that don't think of any way to solve the problem, but never cross the boundary. Never cross the boundary. And it is said, never out of compulsion. Then whatever way we think of, that we plan to do, how creative you are, don't cross the line. It means put God and His kingdom the first priority, trusting God to meet our needs even with the remaining. If you remember the poor widow who put all his livelihood into the treasury box. Giving God for the needy. It is God that I give to God. Let God guide us to put the money to help the people with real needs. If you remember in the book of James, what is true religious? Remember the widow and the orphans in their need, and at the same time keep yourself from the pollution of this world. It's also I put the trust to the Lord. Use it for the poor. And the church, as you are church leaders, you are the one who have a say in using church money. We should remember the poor. Giving actually train us up, train our heart to be bigger, bigger generosity, bigger care to one another. John Wesley, I don't know whether you know this man. He's a servant of God used by God greatly in the past. And once he said, "Get all you can." And in his time, some of his people in the congregations, they are successful people. They are businessmen. They make big money. Get all you can. Save all you can. And if you get all you can, save all you can, remember the last one. Give all you can. God let you earn, let you get a lot, save a lot, because God expects you to give a lot. If not giving, then what is the point of earning and saving? These you can never bring to heaven. You are a steward. This is the concept in the Bible. Of all the things in this world, we are steward. Every one of us are steward. Not just the treasurer of the church, but much more is the servant of God and the treasurer of the church. But all of us, we are steward. Give all you can. Tithing, offering, and sharing. Tithing is an Old Testament concept. In the Old Testament, 10% of the crops, and the livestock that they raise to the tabernacle and also to the temple. There are verses actually teaching the people in the Old Testament time, the Israelites, that you have to give tithe. Abraham, he gave the spoil, 1/10 of the spoil to the magician, the priest of the Most High God. In Genesis chapter 28, Jacob vowed to God that if you keep me safe back to my hometown, I give you 1/10. Also, at Deuteronomy and also the Chronicles, there are many verses I don't need to repeat. That according to the law of Moses, the Israelites have to give 1/10 to support the priest and also to the temple. This is what they need to do. So this is okay. Chapter 23. Even our Lord Jesus Christ, he mentioned about tithing. Jesus said that the scribes and the Pharisees would teach tithing. They said that you strain out the gnat and swallow a camel. So what does it mean? You put effort and emphasize a lot on the minor thing, but you neglect the most important thing. So does it mean that God, no, actually God, you told us that we should give tithing. But now you said that it is just a minor thing. What does it mean? At that time, the people, especially the Pharisees and the scribes, they do the tithing, they taught the tithing, just like today in today's world, it's like paying tax. But it is not the purpose and the reason of giving tithe. Giving tithe is out of a thanksgiving heart. That's why they lost the accent, generosity, the love of God, and the care of one another. They lost the accents. This is what Jesus said about tithing. In the New Testament, you cannot find any other teaching about tithing. The tithing is an Old Testament concept. It's a must that people in the Old Testament and the Israelites, they need to pay 10% to support the operation of the temple and also the Levites. It's emphasized that mercy, faithfulness is way much important than tithing. And tithing without love is legalism. It means that like the Pharisees and the scribe, it's just the law. And generosity is better than a fixed percentage. That's why, according to the Bible, in the New Testament, there's nothing like a fixed percentage of offering, of giving. Now, we refer to quite a lot of passages about giving, if you remember before we say tithing. Is there any fixed percentage, 10%, 15%, or 20% regarding the giving in the New Testament? No. James chapter 2 and here James mentioned one concept to those who are no longer under the law. If we teach others about the law, if you fail, stumble in one single thing, then it means you are a transgressor of the whole law. Because you put yourself under the yoke of the law again. But we who are redeemed by the blood of Jesus Christ, we are no longer under the law. We are under a new covenant set by the blood of Jesus Christ. So here he says, why do you put yourself under the law again? Adultery, murder? No, we say, I never commit these things. I'm a Christian. Hey, Peter, you know, understand me? Adultery, murder? No. But if we teach tithing, which is actually part of the law in the Old Covenant, if you put the Old Testament, the law of the Old Testament on the shoulder to the burden of the brothers and sisters, it actually make them stumble. Whoever commit 1 point, he said, who stumble in 1 point, he is guilty of all. Because you put yourself away from the grace set by the salvation of Jesus Christ, and you put yourself and also the brother and sister who follow you under the law, then actually you make yourself a transgressor of the law. We are away from the law. We are not living because of observing the law or the Old Testament. In the New Testament, God never specified a fixed percentage of giving. It is out of your willing heart. That's why again we share this in the Bible. We say, no, not under compulsion. 10%, this figure, to some extent, is a compulsion to people. But out of a thanksgiving heart, be a cheerful giver. In the New Testament, God does not command us by tithing as in the Old Testament, but instead, he emphasized give voluntarily, generously, and cheerfully. These are the principles in the New Testament. Okay, so I don't need to, even God doesn't ask me to give how much. Who are you? Hey, you said you are leader, and who are you? It's not your business whether I give or not, whether how much I give. But if people say something like this, he has to be careful. Christians are not obligated to give a 10% tithe. Yes, according to the New Testament, Christians are not obligated to give % tithe. But as Christians, saved by the blood of Jesus Christ, in the Old Testament, they offer sacrifice by the blood of animal. They live before God. But today, by the blood of the Son of God, you live before God. If you really understand the salvation, you ask yourself, how much do you give? If by the blood of animal, they stand before God and then they give 10%. Now by the blood of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, you stand before God. What do you think? That's why Paul said, you should give yourself, your whole self, not to mention how much you have in your bank account or in your M-Pesa account or in your pocket. You first give yourself to the Lord. If you are not willing to give money, actually God doesn't ask for money. He asks for you, this person. If you're still hesitant, it means your eyes still not yet open. I'm not saying that you are not saved, but many Christians, their eyes are still not yet open, blinded by the world. And in the beginning already I said, the love of money is the root of all evil. You are actually letting the devil to tempt you in the rest of your life. On the first day of every, each one of you set aside some money, keeping with your income, saving it up, so that when I come, no collection will have to be made. On the first day of a week, on the day we gather together to have the service, to remember our Lord, His sacrifice, and also his resurrection. He said, may everybody set aside some money so that on that day you are ready to give. Not out of compulsion, but with readiness. This is the way of offering and giving. Not about the percentage, but about the attitude, about the faith. Giving, set aside a sum of money with your income. It means it should be proportional to your income. You cannot expect a person just make 10,000 a month, give the same percentage of a person who made 10 million a month. 10,000, okay, to a 10% to a person who make 10,000 a month, maybe it's a lot to him. There are a lot of expenses in the real life. But to me, I make 10 million a month. 10%, oh, it's a big amount. But already, even I am using the 90% of my 10 million, I still can live a luxury life. Do you agree? So it's not about the percentage. It's about your heart, how thankful to the Lord. So that's why here set up something with your income, proportional to your income. You know how much you make. You know how much, what life you are living. Keep it with your income. Now, very specific. Paul said your income. Then you have no excuse. All of us will have no excuse before God. 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 12. For if there is first a willing mind, it is accepted according to what and not according to what one does not have. So what does it mean? The first most important is a willing mind, a willing heart with faith. What matters to God is because of this willing heart, what you have, how much you are willing to offer. You don't need to compare to others. Compared to others, you don't have much. But God said it does not matter what you does not have, but according to what you already have. Just like the poor widow. She has only a little. But out of faith, out of a willing mind, she gave without compulsion. And even God praised her. She praised in the treasury box more than anyone that put in the treasury box. So what is the application, the real life application about offering and giving? Out of a thankful heart. Understand that 10% is not a must. It may be impossible for us while insufficient for the rich. Giving on proportion to the giving according to ability, giving with income is the way that we should teach our brothers and sisters. The practical application of offering and giving, here we use the box. Now, also I want to share with you, another thing is sharing. There's another concept about sharing. This word appeared in the Bible in in the Acts of the Apostle chapter 2. Now all who believe work together. They have all things in common and sold their possession and goods and divided them among all as anyone had need. So the original word things in common is the word sharing. It means they are willing to they're willing to share, to willing to support one another. Sharing at the same time also carry another meaning. It means individually we contribute to, according to our ability, to the expenses in a group activity. So sharing carry two meanings. According in the Bible, in the first century, in Acts of the Apostle chapter 2, they share all things in common. And another meaning of sharing in the church, it means maybe together we have a feast, we have a meal together. And then according to what you can afford, feel free to contribute. There are two things. So it is not, usually we use the word sharing. It's not about talking about giving to God. It's about one another. just like in the early church, because many of them, Jerusalem was not the place they stayed. They went to Jerusalem because of a festival, and then they stayed there after they believe in Jesus Christ. So the people, they share all things in common. This is sharing. And another thing about sharing is about we contribute according to your ability. Maybe, let's say, together, actually, last time, we have a team to go to Busia of the conference, right? I don't know whether you notice it. The team from Kubu, the transportation, yes, paid by the church. Accommodation, yes, paid by the church. But at the same time, we encourage them, you are free to share, to contribute. So they also contribute according to their ability. We never say that, okay, for the food on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all together, each person 5,000, and then the accommodation, each room about 2,000, and then we don't calculate, and then, okay, yes, you need to pay 12,000. Hurry up, hurry up. We don't say that, we don't do anything like this. We don't even tell them how much the church spend on the accommodation and the transportation, but we encourage them, free to share. It is your honor, your privilege that you can contribute to the ministry of God. At least I pay for the expenses because of me. This is sharing. The practice of giving. Actually, in the early church, according to the Acts of the Apostle, there's no formal collection system. It means they don't pass the plate, they don't pass the bag. They have no formal collection system, no contribution, it's voluntary. And during the worship time, that's why if you remember, we just read what Paul said. On the first day of a week, I set aside a sum of money in keeping it in proportion to your income, so that everybody feel free, no compulsion, cheerfully give. But at the same time, afterward, they face persecution. Now, just briefly, I go through the history. They face persecution and they scatter. And then afterward, they enter another stage. At that time, the church becomes bigger and bigger in number, but not in spirit, not spiritually stronger and stronger. This is the period actually of the Catholic Church. At that time, they started to enforce the tithing system again. I say that the tithing system, the tithe, is in the Old Testament time, in the Old Testament. And then in the first church, the early church, they don't have the tithing anymore. But by the Roman Catholic Church, they enforce the tithing again, even to the point they sell the indulgence. The corruption of the tithing system make the clergyman rich, and the sake of indulgence, it means they sell forgiveness for money. For those who enforce the tithing system again in their congregations, I would like to ask, do you really understand the modern tithing system? Where does it come from? It comes from denomination. It comes from Roman Catholic Church that the Lord hates. You want to enforce it again to your church? Are you sure? Are you serious? God used some servant of God to bring revival. The first one is Martin Luther. One of the very first things that he stopped is the selling of the indulgence and all the corrupted system in the church. I'm not going through everything. I put it in the notes. You can refer to it. But what I want to say is, for those who are still considering or hesitating whether the tithing system, because many churches here, they still use this system to support the clergyman, to support the pastor, to support the servant of God. But I would like to tell you, this system is not from the New Testament. You better be careful about this. Don't use the denominational way, the Roman Catholic way, to build your church. Don't be lukewarm. I don't want the Lord vomit you out of his mouth. In our modern time, there are more complicated situations, many different denominations, many different teachings, and at the same time, because of the technology and also because of the expectation of people, it's become more sophisticated in handling the church money, accounting system, the training of the treasurer, financial committee. There are different ways. They're all we serve of God. To some extent, also we need to learn to keep up with the improvement in our generation. One thing we need to bear in mind, to be careful, especially in Africa, is about the prosperity gospel, the prosperity theology. The teaching that God designed every Christian to be material rich and financially successful. And financial blessing is considered to be the primary indicator of God's favor and love. This is wrong. Prosperity theology, prosperity gospel is wrong. You can never judge God's blessing by counting how rich you are. It contradicts clearly to the Bible, the biblical teaching. Because Jesus said, no one can serve two masters. You cannot serve God and both God and money. So how can you use money as a way to measure God's blessing? It also ignores the humans of faith who suffer poverty. There's a long chapter in the book of Hebrews. Most of them suffer poverty. How can you justify? How can you explain the passage? And it creates false connection between godliness and prosperity. God never promised godly people will prosper in the worldly way. Even our Lord Jesus Christ, he suffered a lot. Paul, John, Peter, many apostles following Jesus' footsteps, they were not rich. This enabled actually make the poor to be oppressed by the rich. Jesus taught us that people who follow him will suffer. At least you're willing to suffer material sacrifice. There are lists saying that it is not correct. But today's many people, they still want to believe because they want to be materially blessed. This is a trick used by the devil. Many Christians, especially leaders, already condemn it is the wrong teachings. And this actually hurts a lot, especially churches in Africa, Asia, the developing countries. It shifts the faith, the focus of their faith, just to riches, from the gift to the gift. Many Christians pursue material blessing rather than pursuing God, and it's burden and hurt the faith of the poor who feel failure because they never experience financial breakthrough. The last part I would like to share with you in our setting. So what is the application? What should we do? Regarding the rural Africa, East Africa, so small churches, unpaid volunteer leadership, limited offering, even no formal budget. What's the meaning? Is there any teachings in the Bible that is applicable to us? Let's teach grace giving. Personal giving, whatever you can, give regularly. The main point is regularly. Just like you eat regularly, you drink regularly. The regularly shape, though, if you do it regularly, it means it's a part of your heart. It is your habit. It's part of your life. it shapes this person. This is the true riches. Regularly, and give what you have decided in your heart. Be a thankful, grateful giver. And so, I think you understand more than me. You understand this. Seasonal income pattern. If you are a farmer, the income is seasonal. You should understand this. Some may give a portion of harvest instead of money. There's some of the example in the churches. And even they have kind giving. It means instead of giving cash, they give their skill. These are some ways that in some rural area, in some developing countries, what they accept. You remember, God said, for all of us, what does matter is what we have. What is not what we does not have. We do not have cash, but we have skills. You can give your skill. This is also offering. Transparent, simple accounting. This is another thing that we can put in practice. Keep simple cash flow. No matter how simple it is, the main point is, I keep record according to what we can. That's the money keeper. If you remember, I share with you, segregation of duties. Not the same person who do the approval, keeping the money, keeping the record, and do all the checking. Money keeper. Usually, you can assign well respected. Make transparent monthly accounting. It means announce to brothers and sisters, if possible. Is a suggestion. Even do it yearly or quarterly. It is good. Let the whole church commit because this is a family. Decision making shouldn't be made by one person. There should be a team. And at the same time, decisions should be explained to brothers and sisters. Why do we need to collect money to build a hall? I think the hall now is okay. Maybe you need to explain to them what is the plan ahead. When you wait on the Lord, what the Lord guide you to do. As a leader, it is our responsibility, accountability. And it is good because now we are leaders, co-workers of different churches. It is good we seek advice from one another. Consultation with the leaders of sister church is a way to protect ourselves, not to be guided away from the devil. Realistic budget, spend within means. I have explained it to you what does it mean within means. Sometimes God let constraint in our ministry, even in our lives, is actually helping us to learn to do it step by step. Budget focusing on immediate need, but at the same time, keep saving if possible. No matter how small the amount, have a habit of saving. Is actually training yourself, training your congregations to see the way ahead. Strategic fundraising. Also, I learned from this. He said the harvest celebration to some churches is good. Encourage them to have a thanksgiving heart and to give. At the same time, also give thanks to God for the harvest. And the long-term goal. For example, not a concrete plan, even not a concrete plan, that one day, if possible, we support our whole church, stand up independently by ourselves, and encourage brothers and sisters who have regular income to sponsor and commit to some expenses. Of course, not out of compulsion, but be a cheerful giver. Now, today, quickly, I share a lot of passages regarding the practical way, the principles, the teachings in handling church money and resources. May all of us be faithful stewards as God entrusts brothers and sisters and the resources to us. May all of us find blameless before the stage of Christ.